I'm going to show you how to put your own fly line on at home or on the road, in the hotel room, wherever. So we're going to start with an arbor knot. So I got my backing here and I've got my spool, which I've detached from the frame of my reel, obviously. I'm going to run it around the spool. And the first thing I'm going to do is put a little overhand knot at the end of the tag end on the backing. And then I'm going to take that and I'm going to run that around the backing here and form an overhand knot around the backing. So you can see this. The backing can move freely through this. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and make another overhand knot in the loop that I just created. So then I'm going to cinch that down tight to the backing, and it's like a slip knot. I'm going to run that right up against the arbor. That's going to cinch into place nice and tight. I'm going to clip this tag end pretty short, leave it about 1/8 of an inch long or so, just in case there's a little slip there. And you know, on an arbor knot, if you hook a fish that's big enough to take you down to your arbor knot is not going to save you. But it's basically just holding that backing in place, and you want it nice and secure so the backing then doesn't slip along the spool, which can really cause you problems. What I do, obviously, I'm a left-hand retrieve guy, so I've got to do this the right way. If you reel right, you got to think, okay, which way do I wrap this to begin? But what I do is I start off by hand, and I'm going to make some wraps in my backing by hand, nice and tight up against the spool. From there, once I've got like a good sturdy, steady base of what I think is nice tight backing, I will then put it on the frame. Click that in place. Then I'm going to start reeling by hand. And depending on how much backing you're going to put on here, I'm only going to put a little bit of backing on here because I'm putting a trout spay line on here, which is going to take up a lot of my reel space. I'll do this by hand, and then if I'm going to put a lot of backing on here, I will actually mount it to the butt section of my rod like so. So once I got my backing on there, now what I'm going to do is I am going to build just a big perfection loop. So I'm going to fold this over, just like so. Then I'm going to run this around that loop, and I'm going to split them with the tag end. Then I'm going to take this loop, pull it through the larger loop, and I'm going to make a nice big perfection loop and cinch that down. And then what I'm going to do is I am going to take my fly line, and this is why I make such a big perfection loop. And now if you're a saltwater angler and you're going after tarpon or something, you're gonna want a bimini loop on here, probably a double bimini loop. That's another matter. We're just doing this for like trout, bass. This will hold for some bigger fish, steelhead and such, but if you're targeting big saltwater game, I don't recommend this setup right here. I'm going to run it through the loop on the fly line, and then I am going to go over my fly line spool with that knot and cinch that up like so. Then all I got to do is reel up my fly line back and forth, lay it evenly on the spool, and you're done. And there you go. You're done.